I have no comment. There's some things I can't talk about, which is okay. First, we did not lose that game because of the calls the officials made. And if I came across that way, that was not my point. I think those calls in football games, I think when you're invested in something, when you think it's not going the right direction, and I didn't, I expressed my opinion. I've been doing this long enough to know that I should have watched the tape before I say some things. Some of my comments I believe in. Some of them were probably not as true. I mean, a couple of the ones I said the ball was 15 yards out of bounds, that wasn't. Was it catchable? I don't know. But I said earlier in the year before we played San Diego State, when you say things off of emotion, usually you overreact. And I've done this long enough to know that probably shouldn't have done that. But I'll fight for my guys to the end, and they know that. And that's kind of where we're at with that. Now, there was a lot of things that weren't called that I think were I mean, that's probably the hardest job there is out there, being a referee. I mean, it happens fast. They don't get the ability of instant replay on penalties. And so they call it like they see it, and I don't think anybody ever intentionally tries to cheat you. I don't think there's a single referee that would do that. I mean, those guys go through a pretty rigorous training and stuff. As a coach, you see things that sometimes they don't because I'm looking for them, and I mean, there was some stuff that to be honest, the holding stuff, I wish they'd make holding legal. I really do. And outside of them tackling those guys, don't call it, because it changes games when they call them, and they call them when they see them, and sometimes they don't call them. And I mean, just make it legal. I mean, because they're taught to hold anyway. I mean, you block inside, you can hold, and that's legal. So make it all legal, and then it'll make it easier for those guys. But I think they have a hard job, and like I said, those are not the reasons we lost the game. We lost the game because we gave up 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. We played okay defense I think we were the more aggressive team on our side of the ball. We got in their backfield. The goal going into the game was if we could, and it didn't matter who the running back was, whether it was Bryce Love or Spades, it didn't matter. I mean, even a healthy Bryce Love, the way we were playing wouldn't have had a different outcome. Now, they broke a 25-yard run in the third quarter that led to a touchdown drive. We over-pursued it. If that's Bryce Love and he's healthy, that might be a touchdown. I don't know. That might have been the difference. Now, I think the first carry of the third quarter, Jalen tackles him. He gets his ankle wounded up again, and we didn't see him anymore. He had 11 carries for 20 yards. And the way we played, that was about what was going to happen, because I thought we were the more physical team, and that was good. I mean, I wish we had a game earlier back in the season where we played with that kind of physicality, because we would probably have a better outcome on defense. But like I said, that's not why we lost. I mean, we turned the ball over, and we gave up 6 points on those 2 turnovers. We're in field goal range. At worst, if we get a field goal out of those 2 drives, and then we don't give up those 6 points, that's a 12-point swing. We're ahead. At the end of when we turn the ball over the second time, we have a 3rd and 5 that we hit him in the backfield, and we've got a couple guys that at times are trying to do a little bit too much. So the guy, if he just follows through and hits his aiming point where he's supposed to, it's going to be an easy tackle for loss. We'll have 2 guys there. We get the ball back in really good field position because there was a minute 36 and it's 3rd and 5 on their 10-yard line. Well, we missed the tackle. That's one of their 11-yard runs. I think they have 3 runs they had a 25-yard run on the one that we over-pursued. That one on 3rd and 5, they have an 11-yard run. And then they have a 13-yard scramble in 2-man, and we blitz off the wrong side. And that was early in the first half. We stop them on that drive, but they get a first down. I think that's 49 yards on 3 carries. That 127 the rest of the night. So that's, 79 yards? I mean, so I think the plan of doing that was pretty good. The opportunities to stop them, so they get the first down, and then they're driving down. We have them in 2nd and 10. There's 35 seconds to go in the half. It's on about our 45-yard line. I have a pretty good idea during the game. I keep kind of tracking my head of what we've called. So on 2nd and long, we hadn't given them any pressure. It all been pretty 4-man rush and dropping coverage. So I send a corner blitz. Coach Shaw's a good coach. They make a great call. He made a great call. They run a screen. They get down. Now they call 2 holding penalties on that deal, and we stop them. My thought is it's 2nd and 10. If we can sack him, it's going to keep them out of field goal range, because if we have them in 3rd and long, they aren't going to have an opportunity. I mean, we can call soft coverage, and they're going to throw a deep ball. They'll run out of time. Well, he outguessed me on that one, so we get him on the ground. We hold him to a field goal at 6-3 at halftime. We should be fine. We don't respond very well in the second half. In the 3rd quarter, they complete a couple passes. A couple of those passes, they try again at the end of the 3rd quarter and 4th quarter, and we tackle them like we're supposed to. They've got a 14-point lead, and now all of a sudden we almost sack the quarterback on one of those passes. The next one they throw, it's a negative play because Kobe does a great job. The exact same route that our second Whiteside ran over us on the goal line, we tackle for a 2-yard loss. The same route that Irwin runs for a 25-yard gain earlier in the 3rd quarter, we tackle for a 5-yard gain. I think after we gave up the 2 touchdowns, which is part of building who we are, we called them all up and we challenged them. Look, what you put out there on the first half was great. It's over. Okay, they just scored 2 touchdowns pretty dang quick. If you don't bow up and fight and try and build who we are, they're going to score 80. And there was a thought in my mind at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, they might score 60 points. Well, they bowed up. And we come out on the next 2 series after the touchdown, and they try to throw it a little bit. They couldn't. Kobe makes a great play in coverage. Kobe makes another great play attacking the screen. Then they run the ball, and they couldn't. So Coach Shaw's pretty smart. People say they got a little conservative. Well, they got conservative because when they were throwing the ball at the beginning of that quarter, they're taking chances to get interceptions, and all of a sudden we're really back in the game. Well, then they get in their big personnel where they usually pound the ball at people, and they couldn't move it. They couldn't move it an inch. So we get the ball back a couple times, and where we can help right now when we're struggling as a football team, create more turnovers. We're not creating any turnovers. If we create turnovers, like Ashari had a chance to intercept that ball, they don't get the field goal. If you look at it on tape, he might score because the only guys that are in front of him are linemen because it was 4 verticals and all those receivers are behind him. And if he can't make a lineman miss, then we've got more issues. Okay, but catch that ball and change the game. We got another opportunity later for an interception on a tip ball that we don't get. So we can change our fortune by making those plays, and we will. But right now, that's the difference between us winning and losing, and we need to fix it. Yes, I think for the first time in our 7 games, and I even include the Michigan State game in this, because everybody gives us credit for playing great against Michigan State. We played okay. Okay, we played really good in the interior up front that night. I don't think our secondary was very aggressive in that game. I thought our secondary was very aggressive on Saturday. They were really good on the run game. I thought Jalen Harvey played as good as he's played. And he was aggressive, and he did some things at the Tillman spot that we've been coaching him to do. And it's not easy. You're asking a receiver to do something. He came over. Well, he's finally learning, and I think he made a pretty big difference in being aggressive and getting an extra guy up there in the box to help us stop the run. His run fits were better. That ball that Ashari dropped, if he's a little bit more experienced, he probably intercepts that ball easier because he should be a little bit deeper right there in the red zone at that point. So I think we've gotten better. We're getting better over the course of the year. I think the biggest thing that we got better at was block reaction. We're seeing pulling guards up front. So now instead of just staying locked on a block, they see a puller, we wrap out of it, and all of a sudden we're getting an extra defender where the point of attack is. They're getting better at that. We didn't play good enough to win. We played good enough to be close. We made more plays. They can't get complacent and think, and it's never an offense-defense thing. It's football. That's why I love football. It's the ultimate team sport. Not one person. In basketball, you can recruit one guy and it changes your whole team. You can be a national contender for one guy. You can't do that in football. You can have a great quarterback. If you don't have guys to block for him, he ain't any good. You can have a great secondary. If they don't get any pass rush up front, those guys are going to get exploited. So it's the ultimate team game. So we're getting better. We've got to continue to get better, and we will. And what they've got to understand now is you've got to do it every week in practice. You've got to come out. I didn't think we practiced Tuesday with the right intensity at the beginning of practice. Now it got really good towards the end. Sometimes you have to yell and scream at them to get them to move the right direction. I think there's ways you can do that without being negative. And we got them going that direction. And now Tuesday's usually a learning day. You're installing some stuff. We try and give people. I mean, that was the thing about Stanford was Coach Shaw, that they spent some time with San Diego State over the past couple summers running the ball because there's not very many two-back football teams. So we played them at San Diego State last year. San Diego State played them again. We couldn't use anything that San Diego State used this year because they'll practice against it. So we went through their game plan pretty rigorously and thought, okay, well, we can give them different looks that'll give them the same picture, but it can't look the same pre-snap. And so we had a little bit of a challenge to try and give them something numbers-wise that they weren't expecting. And then my biggest concern was, are we going to play aggressive enough? Because it doesn't matter what you do on the chalkboard. If your X's and O's match up, but your Jimmys and Joes don't play, you got no chance. I wasn't sure how they're going to do. We challenged them, and they played aggressive, and we had a chance. So that was why they played aggressive. If they continue that, we'll continue to get better each week.
Sometimes because a lot of actual offenses have the spread or just like schemes, people like to compare Stanford and USC in terms of their offense. But obviously USC has much better athletes than Stanford does.
Right.
Are there any kind of similarities that you can see with both teams? Maybe compare it because
I don't think so. I think they're pretty jacked. Now, when SC gets down in the goal line area or they get some third and shorts, fourth and shorts, they will put their big personnel group in like Stanford. That's not really what they want to do. JT Daniels is young. That guy's going to be a really good quarterback. I mean, he's improved so much from game one to where we're playing him now. If he's healthy enough to play, he provides some problems. He throws one of the best deep balls I've ever seen. And then you've got, I think Pittman is really special. And then you got St. Brown and you've got Tyler Vaughn. Those guys are super fast, super athletic. They present a great challenge for us in the secondary. I mean, we're going to try and do what we do. We're going to get pressure on the quarterback. We're going to try and create some negative plays and see if we can cover them. And we'll give him some different looks in coverage to see if we can disguise some stuff and confuse him into doing stuff. But they're different. They can establish the run. They're really aggressive and athletic up front, so they can move and create gaps. We're going to try and cancel some of those things with our movement, give them some different pictures to try and cloudy it up for them, and then get pressure. And hopefully, when we take our shots to hit home, they hit home, and we can rattle him. And he's got the ability to throw it for a lot of yards. It's a great challenge, and I really look forward to playing there on Saturday. It'll be fun. Well, I mean, like I said, I spoke out of emotion. They take their time to handle those things, and I'll hear from them. And that's about where we're at. I mean, I really can't say much. No. Now, Coach Edwards' deal, I mean, we don't complain about referees, and I agree with that. You should never complain about referees because, they have a hard job. I was very upset after the game on Saturday because I didn't think that it was happening across the board, and I let my emotions get the best of me and said some things that I'll fight for my kids until the very end. And when you take a job, when you're fully invested, those guys become like your family. And when you think your family's you try and fight for them. And I love those guys in the locker room. And they know I've got their back, and they'll bust their tails so that we're successful. But you should never talk when you're emotional. I know that. I've been doing this long enough to know that.